Last day of the week, Friday, July 26th. Don't forget next week, unemployment FOMC. I'll be California. If I never come back, don't forget. Movie producer must have scooped me up. But I'm trying to keep the paparazzi away for as long as possible. So keep it to yourself with that acknowledgement. This morning, right out of the gate, it was neutral on our poll, and I had a bullish kind of tilt, and that was because I thought that they had overdone it yesterday. It was an ECB weakness. So I said, I think they want those 20 evens. And we had a magnet at 20 evens, some inventory. So playing it from the long side, what do we want to see? We want to see a qualifier. Watch what happens on the replay. Once this comes in, you should hear it and see it at 14 even and at 14 quarter. All right?
4 quarter.
Right there.
4 quarter.
You hear 4 quarter, which means aggressive selling is coming in. What should happen when aggressive selling comes in? Well, price should go down, whether it's the price of a car or a TV or the S&P futures.
4 quarter.
When it doesn't, it highlights the opportunity to get long. Something else happened
4 half.
in conjunction
4
with
half.
this. So this is the entry, and it was a nice rally eventually to 20 even. I'm not saying I stayed into it all the way to 20, but that was the target, the
4
magnet,
half.
and here's
4
the
half.
qualifier. Selling and it can't go down, selling and it can't go down. There was another win moment to really help you time the entry. So if that's not enough, order flow.
5 even.
The same time, you also
5
got,
half.
you see
5
selling come in
half.
again and it can't go down, spikes up. There was another great ancillary other than order flow that helped time this out. And let me shrink down this chart, the footprint chart, and you can see what it does. But this is right after the open. That's not the chart I want. The NASDAQ is going to relate and influence the ES and vice versa, right? The NASDAQ futures. So
6
what
half.
happens in the NASDAQ? Where are they? What do they have going on? What can you anticipate? How could it help a
6
bias?
quarter.
How could it help the execution and the location? Remember, it's not what the house looks like. It's what the neighborhood looks like. So that's why location is important with real estate. I'd rather have a crappy house in a nice neighborhood. I could fix up the house. A nice house in a crappy, I can't fix up the neighborhood. That's why location's important in
6
real
half.
estate. So you have a good neighborhood and a good house, 2 thumbs up. You have a good bias and a good entry, 2 thumbs up. So what happens in the NASDAQ? This is at 8:30, 8:31 in the morning Central Time. If you're not looking at markets and patterns and rotations and a consolidation box in here, like we talk about through all these highlights and through the room in real time all the time, you're not going to be able to anticipate buy stops above or sell stops below. This area above the top of this yellow box has buy stops, which does what? It generates movement to the upside, a spike, a breakout. Every breakout has buy stops or sell stops that help trigger it. It's like water on the slide. To slide up or slide down.
8
If you're not
3/4. 8
visualizing a
3/4.
box or a
9
range, then you're not going to be able to anticipate buy stops above it or sell stops below it. In this case,
even. 9 even.
buy stops above it. And so take a look at, I'm not replaying it, but I'll just go click by click. Above this 8 even, we called and said, boom, buy stops above it. That's what that looks like. And the market continued to rally. That's a helper to help get you in the ES. This happened at exactly this moment. 14 quarter, 14 half was the first, hey, take a shot here. You know where your risk is. And then they really drove up when they flipped over 8 even. So if you
7
weren't
half.
in at the quarter, 14 quarter, 14 half, the ancillary helped perpetuate this continuation in this upside. And it goes right underneath 20 even. And why did we say 20 even as a magnet? Take you back in time, see this highlighted bar on a heat map? It's 20 even. That's a magnet. That was there until it got filled right up in there. but it was there in a magnet. Here's the 830 open. The beginning of the rally, the beginning of the move was for two things: stuck sellers, that's order flow, in an ancillary
6
market like the
3/4.
NASDAQ, with buy stops and a breakout. When it's obvious
7
to
even.
most of the rest of the world, don't try to fade it. If it's resistance and obvious to most of the rest of the world, it's too late to use it as resistance. Flip it around. No, you might have the herd on the edge of a cliff and they're all going to fall over.
8/2.
Our job as professionals
8/2.
to be the hunter instead of the hunted is to be in a helicopter over a herd of
8/4.
animals, and that herd of animals are stuck traders. You can't just jump in front of them because you'll get trampled if it ain't the right time. But when they're at the edge of a cliff is the time to get long, get short. You could identify your risk. Bias is important. Location is more important. Like I said, nice house, nice neighborhood, 2 thumbs up.
8
You'd
quarter.
you always would rather have a good location than a good opinion, which is a good house in a bad neighborhood. Bad neighborhood is a bad opinion. Good house,
8
I
quarter.
said that opposite.
8
You'd always
quarter.
want to have a
8
crappy
quarter.
house in a good neighborhood. Crappy house, good neighborhood. Because you could always do something to the location. You can't change the neighborhood. So hopefully that makes sense. Not hindsight stuff we
8
analyze
quarter.
in the room,
8 quarter.
blow by
8
blow.
quarter. 8 quarter.
Have a nice weekend for those watching on recording. For Trading Room guys, hold up 1 second. I'm going to stop recording for YouTube.